We're live. What's going on, family? Hope all is well. We've been having difficulties. I figured I'd get my sister on the administration team. We got a long list of team members. If you're just coming on and you're new in Inspirational Freestyle Recovery Flow, welcome. We do have the correct people and the people that have reliable resources to see what this page is big about. What I'm big about anyway is being active in recovery. You know, you talk a good game that you're active, this, that, and the third. But I'm talking about connecting people inside the fellowship with experience. I'm not talking about no opinions or no, none of that, man. It's about experience. And somebody don't have the experience in the area, you try to give them an opinion, might kill somebody. Mm-hmm. So let's get them dates going. This is the new logo. Somebody did this up for me, and let's get them dates going. Where you're located from? How you say your name proper? I don't want to.
Marisol.
Marisol.
Yep.
We got Marisol on tonight. She's my admin. So if you women, I'm sure she reached out to a lot of you women, man. Right? It's very important for me, right, to build this team, right? That people are really doing some work, and it's even good. Let me tell you some real stuff tonight, right? It's even good to have an admin that's a woman and I ain't trying to get in her pants. There's the hope right there that I'm engaged, right? And I got a lady friend, right, that I can go to at any time and connect her without no hidden motives and agenda, right? And intentions. That my intention and motives is pure today. So let's get them clean days going or your sobriety days, whatever you want to call it. Let's get them going, give some people some hope. I'm going to look at the comments right now, and then I'm going to pray her in, and I'm going to let her go ahead and rock off with her message. So if you're just coming on, let's all get this shared out. Let's share this out to the groups. Get them watch parties going. Let's go. Let's get them hearts going. Let's get the love going. Let's go. So, who we got on here? Tiffany, what's up? Jay Williams, my brother, God is good. Yes, sir. 1 year clean, brother. Taylor, what's up? Baltimore, Maryland, what's going on? Tiffany, Greenwich, Connecticut. Stephanie, gave you that hope shot for a reason. I believe in you. Congratulations. April, what's up? Indiana, congratulations. 8/7/19, 31 days. April Warrington, if you ain't messaged me, you're getting an Inspirational Flow logo bracelet, so send me a message, and that's yours. We believe in you. We love you. I got to stay passionate. I got to stay enthusiastic because the disease will creep in and take all my clean time if I don't stay excited for recovery. So, Amber, what's up, sis? How you doing? Let's go. Let's go. Let's get them dates up. Let's get this shit shared out. Please get this shared out. People need to see this. Grateful for another day clean. Come on, Tiffany. Let's go. One of my day ones. Hold on. So if you're just tuning in and you ain't commented yet, let's go. Let's get them locations up. Like the page, follow the page. If you're willing to tell your story, yeah, there's a moderator, Angie. Reach out to her. It's very important to reach out to her, right? She's here for you. Let's go, family. Let's go. Eric Masker, my man. All right, I'm going to pray you in, and we're going to go. Freedom date, 3/14/2020, Ohio. $90 days, Villa Real, Jesse. Dave Wheeler, what's up? Everything good?
All right.
Tim Kane, what's up? All right, I'm going to pray you in, and I'm going to let you go. Could you hear that air conditioner? People probably could. I don't know. All right. You ready?
No, my Wi-Fi is just being wonky. Mm-hmm.
You can run off of data if you want to. Thad Davis, what's up?
Wi-Fi off.
Yeah, I turned it off. Ashley Sullivan, yeah. 11/25/19, Calvert County, Maryland. Got my Maryland people on here. So you just tuning in. This inspirational freestyle recovery flow. It's experience, strength, and hope right here. I'm going to pray her in, and we're going to let God take over the cast. All right, Lord Almighty God, I just want you to use my sister as a vehicle, as a message of hope, as an inspiration to other women. If she struggles with any low self-esteem, lack of confidence, or any low self-worth, that you just lift that off of her and place a message of recovery, that she just gets honorable and transparent and touches one person and speak inspirational freestyle recovery flow, Lord God, into a ministry. Send the blessing down. We're a blessed people. And the people that are struggling due to this coronavirus, this pandemic, or whatever they call it, what's going on, and the people in Minnesota that's tearing their whole city apart, Lord God, that they just get justice for that guy getting killed, and they just go back to peace, and you just sort all the chaos and confusion out, and amen. Inspirational freestyle recovery flow. Let's go. Let's go. Come on, y'all. Go ahead, sister. Floor is yours. It's freezing up.
So, first of all, really grateful to have. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's freezing up really bad. Might have to go outside.
Oh, I froze.
Yeah, it's freezing up. You might have to
Go
turn the data on.
outside. All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah. Oh, which one you got on? There
There
you
we
go.
go. All right, sorry about that, guys. So first of all, I'm really glad to be on here. I left kind of sharing my story for a really long time. So I'm a person in long-term recovery, and I say long-term recovery because I have practiced multiple pathways. I am a member of the AA Fellowship, but I've also participated in MAT, Smart Recovery, and outpatient because my disease is not just one level. So I want to say I was an addict before I was an active addict. I never really felt a part of. I've never really cared what people thought of me. I've probably my whole life had a handful of 2 or 3 friends and never more than that because I couldn't sit in my own skin because I didn't know who I was as an individual. So, as a teenager, I was a normal teenager or what I felt, and I started recreationally using drugs. The difference was my friends could stop. As soon as I put that substance in me, I'm not sleeping for days at a time. And my compulsive thought process is, when can I get more? What can I do? How can I afford this? The depths that it would have brought me to at 14 and 15 years old, like I would have never conceived. And at 15, 16 years old, I didn't think I was an addict. I thought I was a teenager. That's what all teenagers do, right? We defy our parents. We try to figure out who we are and push boundaries. And it just never dawned on me. So at 17, at 17, I met an older man. I got into a relationship, and I've always been an addict. I always do things to excess, but I became addicted to heroin without knowing I was doing heroin. Um, the person I was with was mixing my cocaine.
Wow.
And I did not find out that I was addicted to heroin until he went to prison and I went into withdrawals. Um, my addiction brought me horrible places. My mother told me when I was 18 to get a job. So, what job could I have that would support my drug habit and pay to live in their house? So, I became a prostitute. Um, I used to sleep with men to use. I used to steal my mother's jewelry because, in my fucked up mentality, it was like, well, it'll be mine when she dies, so I might as well just use it now. Um, and I lied, I stealed, I cheated, and I manipulated. So I remember at 18, I came downstairs one day in a cocaine psychosis, and I tried to perform an exorcism on my mother because I swore to God the devil was in her. So they brought me to the emergency room, and I got checked into the psych ward. And I remember my parents coming in to see me, and them looking at my parents and saying, "Your daughter's not crazy; she's a drug addict." Um, so they as families, and this is a family disease. They were crushed. They had no idea what was going on. Like, I literally, in my active addiction, was on a talk show talking about being a prostitute and thought my parents would never find out. Like, that's how delusional I was. Um, so at 19, I joined Cocaine Anonymous through one of my brother's best friends. And I loved it. And it was a group of young kids my age, all in recovery, all really strong. And I had a moment of weakness and I was done and I was ready to relapse. And the speaker that night, they say God puts people in your life for a reason. The speaker that night was filled with such passion and such hope and such strength. And his anniversary date was my birthday.
Wow.
Um, I started to take simple steps. I still had that like fucked up mentality because I was stubborn and I wasn't totally handing over control yet. So, they say, get a big book, get a sponsor, read the big book. Well, me, because I'm a good addict, I can read the book by myself. I can do this on my own. I've never needed people, which I do not recommend to anyone because reading the big book without a sponsor is like reading Hamlet from Shakespeare in the first grade. You have no idea what it means. So I ended up relapsing. I could not figure out how to live a life sober at 19 years old. I thought my life was over. Like, how do you not drink? How do you not drug? How do you have a social life? Like, I was just so uncomfortable in my skin. I found any excuse to relapse. So I was like in and out of the doors for probably 3 or 4 years. So at 21 years old, after going on a vicious run and smoking crack cocaine for the first time in my life, um, I found out I was pregnant. And the day I found out I was going to be a mother, my world was crushed because my thought process went from me to the child being born in me because I had been smoking crack for 3 months, unbeknownst to me. Um, and I really got into a program. I went to detox. I didn't go to detox for 2 days just to get off E. I stayed the full 7 days. And I came in really humbled at 21 years old and really with this desire to like never have my child see me use in my life. I was broken. I would cry at the drop of the hat, and not because of pregnancy hormones, but because I didn't have the coping skills to address the wreckage of my past. And I still couldn't sit in my skin. And finally, at that point, like I knew I had to do the steps, and I knew I had to raise my hand, and I knew I had to be a newcomer all over again. But I couldn't get out of my own way, and I could not ask a woman for help. I didn't like women when I came into the program. And when I worked through my steps and I did my inventory, I found one of my biggest fears was towards women because I didn't like myself.
Mm.
because I knew that when I was active in addiction, I was conniving, I was promiscuous, I was judgmental, I was a bitch, and there was no way that I was going to be able to trust another woman because I could not trust myself. So I ended up finding a male sponsor who I knew had no ulterior motives because his sexual preference was also men. So that was my comfort level. And I knew I wasn't going to be able to be 100% transparent and honest with a woman in the beginning. And he took me through those steps. I remember step 1 through 3, we spent 12 hours together and did them. And just after that third step prayer, this feeling of weight just kind of came off of my chest. And it was the first time since I had been probably 12 years old that I could breathe. And just to feel that breath was like an amazing gift. I did my 4-step, which probably took me 6 or 7 notebooks to write. And that's okay because I needed to get it off my chest. And slowly, like when I entered recovery, I had lived in this pink cloud in the past, but never really got into the nitty gritty of working a program. So I didn't understand why this last time I came into a fellowship, why I wasn't feeling that pink cloud again. And it dawned on me after speaking to my sponsor, I'm not feeling the pink cloud because the pink cloud is a farce. It's not real recovery. It's the honeymoon period of recovery. And that goes away once you do the hard work until it comes back through living life on life's terms with principles, spirituality, and helping another addict. So, I started itching around after I read my 5th step, and my sponsor looked at me and was like, you need to start sponsoring people. This is the only way you're going to stay clean. You need to be able to guide people and show them through experience because there's thousands of people in this world who need someone to have the empathy and to work through the same process that I worked through with you. And there was days in the first year that I was in recovery where like I would cry at the drop of the hat, and it really was learning how to walk again. I had to learn everything that I thought I knew about myself and how to behave in a healthy manner all over again as an adult. I didn't have the skills that I had. I finally could look in the mirror and see my face in the mirror and not want to punch it or not want to claw my skin off or not want to use to hide the person that I was. When people ask me about like my childhood, because so many of us are like, oh, what happened in your childhood that made you use? Nothing happened in my childhood. I wasn't a child of trauma. I had an amazing life. I have 2 parents who are still married to this day, 40 years later, who are the most supportive people in the world. My addiction was not caused by my surroundings. My addiction was caused because, like the big book says, I have a spiritual malady and an allergy to substances. My brain behaves differently than other people. We're not addicts because of our situations in life. Our situations might cause us to self-medicate, but at the end of the day, we're addicts because we're missing something spiritually and because we have an allergy to the substance. The substance is not my issue. My issue is me. My issue is not being able to be content in my life. My issue is not being able to cope with things. Um, you know, I am 15 years in recovery. And again, I say recovery because I practice many principles from all the fellowships that I've learned. Um, but I wake up every day where I couldn't hold a job in the past, and I'm happy to go to work. I have a 13-year-old son who has slight learning and social disabilities. If I was using, I could never be present for that child. The joy of attaining my goal to have my child never see me use is such a beautiful, motivating thing. I've had opportunities to go back to school, and I have worked in the field at state level facilities and helping with policies. And, I find for me that yes, my program has to be anonymous due to the traditions of a 12-step fellowship, but my story does not need to be hidden. If I personally am anonymous, or if any of us remain anonymous, how do people know there's a solution? That's the whole preface of this program. We're supposed to not promote the program, but promote the principles by which we live to those who are struggling. We're supposed to uplift those who cannot love themselves and teach them that love, so one day they can teach someone else down the road how to love themselves. My son, who's 13, is this amazing little advocate in the recovery world, and that's a beautiful thing. Our generation in our 20s and 30s is being lost to this disease. Our children get to see that, this doesn't kill everyone, and you can heal. This is just like any other disease in the world. If you get your treatment, your medication, be it a 12-step program, Smart Recovery, Celebrate Recovery, MAT, moderation management, whatever you choose, if you continue that daily dose in sense of your treatment, you're going to have a solution to this disease, just as any other disease that's out there. Addiction to me for a really long time was shameful. I thought it was a moral failing. It has nothing to do with my morals. It has to do with my disease. And the moment that I embraced that I had a disease and started treating it like a disease and relying on a higher power, I was able to flourish. I had a really hard time in the beginning because so many people use the word God. And I was so angry and I was so vengeful. And I grew up in a church with a vengeful God that I was afraid to hand myself over to this ideology of what had been taught to me as a child of a God who I blamed for my addiction. Why did he put me through this? Why did my grandparents die? Why did I end up prostituting? If my God loved me, why would this happen to me? And I had to figure out my own ideology of what my higher power was. And once I could get that vision of what I had been taught as a child out of my mind, again, another sigh of relief. My higher power, that I choose to call it, doesn't have a name. I acknowledge that there is something greater than myself. I acknowledge that there is something out there that has influence on the world around me and how I react to things. The best way I can describe it is I probably believe more in a mother nature than anything, but that's higher than myself. And that's a beautiful thing to believe in. I've seen on here and on so many other groups, people talking about this fear of God. The big book clearly says a higher power of your understanding. Do not let that scare you from any recovery journey. As long as you can acknowledge there's something greater than yourself and you hand that power over, you have the ability to succeed. And as long as you continue to share your story, to speak your truth, to show the strength, to show that we are survivors, you have the ability to heal. Recovery is a lifelong process. I can't go to a meeting 6 months ago and think I'm going to heal off of that recovery. I have to practice my principles every day. And sometimes they're not easy. We're human. Even if we're not addicts, we are human and we have our downfalls. But we cannot beat ourselves up over that. We need to embrace where we are, live in the moment. And if you can't live in that moment, look for something in your surroundings that you can be grateful for. Redirect your negative thoughts. Get to a meeting. Reach out to this page. It's so weird being on here and not in the comments.
Yeah.
reach out. My box is open all the time. Carl's is open. The rest of the team, someone will reach out to you. Um, and I think my message is kind of what I learned in life and through this recovery process is I really had to get rid of that idea of instant gratification. I
Yeah.
couldn't think that if I put the drugs down, my life was going to be amazing 24 hours later.
Come on.
I thought if I put the heroin down and I went through detox, I'd be a normal person in society.
Come
I'm,
on with it.
I'm 15 years clean, like, and I'm still a fucked up person in society. I still have my faults. And I can be extremely short with people and lack a tolerance for bullshit. And I am very blunt and very to the point, and some people can find that really offensive. But you know what? That's my reality. And I embrace that. And I know that if I want to attain a goal, it's going to take work. And I slipped many a times. And I don't say it was a relapse because I hadn't completed the 12 steps every time I went back out there. The only way you can relapse is if you have the knowledge and you continue to backtrack. If you haven't completed that step work, you don't have the tools. You're taking the steps, but you haven't yet had the growth that you need to consider it a relapse. It's a slip. And if anyone out there is struggling or has relapsed, don't beat yourself up over it. That was another lesson I learned. Anytime I went back out there, that didn't erase what I had learned in my past journey in recovery. It gave me the opportunity to take a step back and be like, okay, so what didn't fucking work? What do I need to change? You know, it's everyone's recovery is individualized. Our addiction is individualized. But at the end of the day, we're all such a strong, united group of people because even though our journey may have been different, our end goal is the same. Our end goal is continuing to uplift each other and not tear each other down and have positive moments. And if we go through a rough time, being able to work that without numbing ourselves or self-medicating ourselves. Um, you know, I just celebrated 15 years and I never thought that I would get past 3, let alone 5, let alone 10. Um, and I don't really celebrate them. Like I don't get chips. At this point, the fellowship taught me how to live. And as long as I continue to do that, I'm doing justice to my recovery. As long as I'm able to be there for the next person who needs help. And you know, don't feel if you're asking for help that you're ever going to be judged or that automatically that person is going to sponsor you because that's not our goal. Our goal is to meet you where you're at, love you in that moment and to guide you where you need to be. Um, you know, I don't really know. It's a beautiful thing. I've kind of just gotten back into the recovery world after taking 2.5 years. And I was starting to get antsy and I was starting to get irritable and I was starting to get disconnected and discontented and anything made me angry. And I was slowly slipping mentally back into that person that I was before, just full of resentment and full of anger. And it wasn't a good place to be. I had gone through some really traumatic things in the last 6 years where I had been in a relationship for 9 years and found out that this man was living a double life. And, you know, if not for the tools of recovery, I would have been probably dead at this point. Um, but I didn't pick up over it. I've lost family members. I've lost friends. I haven't picked up over it. And, you know, recovery is not easy. Life is not easy, but it is livable. And as long as you live, you will continue to strive. So I guess kind of if any of you are struggling, reach out. If you've relapsed, do not be hard on yourself. If you're new in recovery, do not set expectations for yourself. Live the day within the day, and that's how you're going to get through it. And if you're in long-term recovery, celebrate that day too, because you are not guaranteed tomorrow. Anything at the end of the day, if we have a slip in our recovery, can bring us out. So really embrace what we have because I think so many times a lot of us in long-term recovery take for granted what a gift this actually is, and what a beautiful program that we have been allowed to flourish in or start this journey in, because not everyone makes it. And that's a sad reality, especially with what's going on with COVID. That we are all being extremely affected right now. Um, but no, we're here to support you for whatever you need. And this is how we stay in recovery. This is
Yeah.
how we continue to grow as individuals in recovery. So we may not be able to be there and hold your hand personally, but there is a community out here that will uplift you in whatever way we can.
Yeah. And I want to thank you. You got more. You got into the solution. Truly like a vision of hope. Um, so, what are some of the things? How did you start to love yourself when you first like started doing the work on yourself, and how did it feel? And like,
It was weird because for so long I didn't realize that I hated myself. I was so numb that I couldn't even feel that emotion. I think that the first time that I truly embraced myself, and this is kind of controversial because some people say you shouldn't do it, and some people say that you can. But again, our program is filled with suggestions, and that's how I take them. But the first person on my resentment list was me.
yeah,
I resented myself, and to be able to process that and release that, I literally had to write that on paper. And my sponsor had me cut out that one section when I did the turnarounds and literally burn it and let it up to God. And I felt like extremely vulnerable, and I felt really scared. And I also felt like the first time that, you know what, I get to reinvent myself. So I'm seeing Ashley's comment right now, and I want to tell you, Ashley, you are not a horrible person. Wherever you are in your life, you're obviously struggling with something. So reach out to the page. Carl has my number. We can get it in the comments on here. Whatever you need,
yeah.
you're
Send a
not
message to
horrible.
the page, and she'll. We got a couple team members on here that's very active on this page, and I did do some work on myself in order to. I started to love myself, right? And
Mhm.
Angie, she'll definitely reach out to you. We got a lot of people on here that got experience. If not, we can connect you with some people. So I'm gonna try. I think of questions. I get them good. So where did you come to a time where you stop? Have you ever had a problem with like seeking validation off of men or in your relationship or
You know what? So I really, until I was, so I definitely have codependency issues. And
codependency?
I did a lot when I was younger. And when I got pregnant, I really didn't date anyone until this last person I was with in a very serious relationship. And I don't know if he was the person who just kind of broke the camel's back. Like I was done. And it was the first time in my life I knew I deserved better, and had self worth. And this honestly is the first time in my life where I can sit back and like go out with my friends, be it to a club or to dinner or whatever, and have no ulterior motives when I meet a male. And it's a beautiful thing. And I think maybe this might be 15 years later, the point where I may have loved myself 90% of my recovery. I think this really is the point in my life where, like, I have gone through so many trials and tribulations this year that I've seen my self strength and learned how to really love myself 100%.
Yeah. So what do some of the stuff you've been through, no matter what process or kind of get into that a little bit, no matter what you didn't pick up how you was feeling, like what situation showed up, any deaths in the family or like
So, um, 5 years ago, my closest aunt was missed, or she passed away 5 years ago. She was misdiagnosed 5 years before that. And I think the hardest point in my recovery where I really, really wanted to pick up was watching this woman I loved slowly die in front of me, and see her husband in active addiction, and my other family members in active addiction, and that feeling of powerlessness of not being able to help, not being able to save them because I was dying inside. I knew that like there was a better way of living. I think that was the first time that I really thought about going back out there. But the beauty about my recovery community is, one, the women are extremely attentive to what we're all going through. So they rushed to me like a pack of mama wolves to make sure I was okay. But I also utilized the skills I was taught. I started journaling. I really did not a 10th step daily, but anytime I felt a resentment building up. I did a lot of writing of things and burning them to cleanse my soul, walking. And it's the first time since I was 18 years old that I reached out to a priest. And really re-embracing the religion that I had fought for so long. Like, yeah, Mother Nature's great, and that's what I rely on. But it was the first time in, I'm going to age myself, almost 20 years, that I felt safe back in a church. And I just needed that physical safe being and a priest to kind of guide me through that.
Yeah. So,
but like I still have fucked up thoughts as an addict. Like I literally can see an ashtray and think, oh, that'd be really good on a hit. But like I don't act on it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like I literally will be like, all right, that's a really fucked up thought. Like what you need to do right now to fix that. But I literally like I got to the point where I was struggling so bad in early recovery, I literally had to get the words calm and serenity tattooed on my wrist because those were the two principles I was struggling with the most. So even now, that's kind of my no matter what. Like if I get in a messed up place in my head, because we all do, we're not immune to that. But if I get in that place, I just look down at my wrists and it's kind of a quick reminder.
Yeah, I love his team. I'm just watching the comments and it's just like amazing how people just gets right into interacting with the people, right? That's very important. I used to get judged a lot because I used to look at the comments like when I first started live back in 2018. I'm not new to social media. I don't care how many people watch this. It's good and all that. 2,000, 5,000, all that shit's good. But whoever's on here right now is receiving the message. That's what it means right now, right?
Yeah.
So I'm seeing some comments. See, Stephanie said we're all a lot alike. Nora Pole in the house, Bonnie Blades, what's up? My sister Shirley on here. So, you know, how do you cope with your son in recovery? Let's get into that.
So it was kind of a tricky situation. My son's father is also a person who suffers from addiction.
Yeah.
So, you know, he was a beautiful addict conceived baby. It was a night of running amok. But my son's my gift child. I was told I could never have children. So, you know, I was honest about him because how do you explain why the other parent isn't around without being honest about you having the same struggle and explaining addiction as a disease? And, you know, I used to tell him, listen, your dad's sick. He's not here because he doesn't want to be. He's here because he can't. He's not here because he can't be. And I had to explain to him. I also let him lead the discussions. So I always told him, if you have a question, like you ask me and I will be 100% transparent with you. You know, and he's an amazing kid. We walk through Boston because that's where we're from with a huge homeless population and active addiction. And he literally, because he's afraid to give these people money because he does not want to enable their using, he asked me to spend $50 on Dunkin' Donuts cards so at least they can go each get a coffee and a donut. He has sat down with me with total strangers and read the big book. He has written a letter to our governor talking about why addiction is not treated as if it were any other disease and we deserve that respect. And he also like participates 100% in any recovery event that I do. We had the first statewide overdose vigil in our state 2 years ago, and this kid was walking around talking to kids, telling him he loved them, would cry with kids who lost their parents, and like
Wow.
he just has such empathy. You know, a couple years ago at 7 years old, this is a random off the topic story, but he was at the circus with his grandfather, and someone was having a heart attack. And the first thing he said, because of the area that he was in, was, "Bo, put the medicine up his nose." He thought it was an overdose, and because my father is a firefighter, that he had Narcan on him. And he knew that's what saved somebody's life. So we had to explain to him that it was a stroke, not an overdose. But like, the kid's 13 and he carries Narcan. You never know who's going to go out. And he has no problem. I think the reason that I can now be so proud of where I've come from is because my son is proud of me. Because my son openly has told my story without me knowing. And it has brought people into my life who can use that support. But you know what? If my child can be proud of me, then I need to at least love myself enough to be proud of myself as well.
Yeah. And
It
definitely
was hard. He was an AA baby for the first 6 years.
Yeah. Wow. That you definitely got a strong message. You definitely touched some people tonight.
Well,
You
I will
know,
go through after and reply to messages too,
I'm sure
if I
you
need
will,
to.
like you always do. You know, it was great just having you on, and that's why it's very important, you know, to get the hope out there, because this is a pandemic right now. But like, the disease of addiction does not sleep; like, it wants you dead, straight
Yeah.
up. Um, I get on here and like, just tell the truth, man. If you hear some sick shit that I've done, if you judge me, like, it's very important for me, like, to discern certain people in my life, because some people, you know, is toxic, and
Yeah.
some people really, you know, say they want the best for you but don't want the best for you. Really, they're like kind of like a hater. You know what I mean? But
But
it's always,
you know what the joy is? We
yeah,
can set those boundaries now.
yeah, and it's very important to set boundaries through like through just set boundaries, man. Through like, hold on, how can I explain this? Everybody ain't meant to eat at our dinner table. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
And sometimes I place unrealistic expectations,
Mm-hmm.
and like setting boundaries up towards, like, sometimes you got to discern somebody and examine them, kind of, and if they're
Mm-hmm.
good enough for you and to be around you and your lady and stuff like that. And that's what I mean.
No,
Some
no
people,
one should be toxic enough to make you come out of you.
yeah. And until I started to get to a point in my life where I really started to love myself, is like, I don't know for anybody else getting a relationship with a girl in recovery. It's very important to listen to your girl. She got some more time than you do. You know,
Mm-hmm.
all that ego shit. And sometimes, you know, women are the beautifulest things on earth to me. And if it wasn't for a woman, she wouldn't be able to, like, we wouldn't be able to she processes the baby, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's why women are so important, because like, they're the powerfulest people on earth. That's just how I feel about it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's good to have a woman like that's working on something to like tell you about yourself. It might not sit well, but like, the outcome of processing the feelings, when sometimes it's best for me not to say nothing in my relationship, right? And just listen to my girl, because she got some more time than me. And it
Mm-hmm.
took me a while to get to that point, because I was so self-centered and close-minded, where I'll just shut you off out of the whatever's going on in the situation, or Usually I'm putting that wall up, right? So I had to let my wall down, man, when I moved in to her house and shit. And kind of was weird. I built a relationship with her baby's daddy. I know a lot of people probably heard the same stuff, but it's very important to build a relationship with and do what's best for the kid, not just our fucking sex and dick and vagina or whatever. I just uncut page. And it's true, man. It's like, so I had to look at I had to look at the whole picture and the situation, and it comes with like setting boundaries up and stuff. And I had to look at myself and say, like, if you want something different, you got to do something different.
You want different results, you need to take different actions.
Yeah, and I took it straight to action and built a relationship with her baby's dad, and like the hope is I'm on a lease, and maybe we'll get a bigger place where I'll be able to get my office set up. I'll be able to get my clothing. I already got some of the I already got the heat pressing already. People has been blessing me, and and further notice, I want to take this into a spiritual coffee shop, like a ministry, but I don't have. I just can't do this alone. You know what I mean? So, and when God wants me to have it, He'll give it to me. That's how I look at it. And it was an honor and a privilege to have you on tonight. You're a huge inspiration to a lot of women. I really appreciate all the work that you do behind the scenes with the page. And your first week, you've been on fire, man. Not in a week, a couple of days. And I don't know if I don't know if you've seen me. You said you've been out the recovery community for a while, so like it's just like wow, blown the fuck away, right?
I was so insecure with what had happened that I didn't feel I had anything to share. And this COVID-19, whatever the fuck you want to call it, really made me rely on social media again to get my treatment that I needed to get through the day. And I started watching one feed and you popped up, and then I followed you, and something, I don't know, between the two of you, like, it just made me want to open up, and it made me want to get back. And just this, I told you the other day when I went through the family loss I just went through, when you told me to keep my head up, and I was like, the page is doing that for me right now. So sometimes the best thing I can do for myself is take me out of me in a healthy manner and help somebody else.
Yeah. Sue Tiger said that's what I do all the time. Cut everyone off because I don't want to look at myself. Clean every day frightens me. And I know it's worth it if I work it. But I tend to procrastinate, put things off. Yeah, I can do that too. I can procrastinate on my step work, and the disease is like, if you keep procrastinating, maybe you might, it'll latch on to me, man. It'll want me not to do my step work and recover from the inside on the unmanageability, the things that I'm unmanageable with, like buying more sneakers that I really don't need, right? Buying more hats, like I just got another one, and more than I don't need, like
it's like girls with their leggings,
cologne, right? But that's just what I get to do today, right? I mean, you can't put 13 different colognes on, but like I like cologne, and I bought 2 more today. But like recovery starts from the inside, and yeah, I was a guy that didn't want to look at like what part I played. Should I say it? How should I say it? Why should I say it? 9 times out of 10, usually shut the fuck up.
And the thing is, right? if you constantly have to ask yourself how, when, where, why, how should I behave, you're like an egg that's cracking. At some point, your yolk's just going to come out.
Yeah.
Like we're not Humpty Dumpty. Like we're not eggs that can be put back together. So until you get to that point where like everything's spewing out on you, you have to learn how to heal those cracks one by one and take it as an individual issue rather than letting it totally get you to the point where you're just broken.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why I got to keep on reaching out to people. But if anybody's new to this, It's very important. Like if you want go to some Zoom meetings, to the fellowship, whether I attend or what she attends, I can definitely link you in with a lot of people all over the world. And the 12-step fellowship I attend, it's very important. I really don't say too much about the fellowship that I attend because I've got bashed in the for doing that. But if you want, hit my inbox, go on the Carl Fry page, Carl Fry Jr. Go on that page, send me a message, and we do a meeting at 12 o'clock every night, which I should attend tonight. I didn't last night because I was doing some step work. And I appreciate everybody on here. Thank you for your message, sister. It's amazing.
Thank you.
To just have you on here and get transparent and bondable, right? Because people need to hear that, man. They do, you know. And send me a link. Well, you know, I'm gonna get this out there. virtualna.com. Go there to the link. virtualna.com. Go to that. If you attend that fellowship, you know, virtualna.com. Go there. I'm not promoting them, just letting you know.
You're making the recovery available.
Yeah, I'm making sure it's available for everybody. And you just can't watch me. I'm getting that out there right now. Just can't watch me. You got to recover, you know what I mean, elsewhere too, right? We got to be open-minded that there's people that's like-minded like us, but they're going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear.
You know, if any of you, I know we are very transparent about fellowships and that's kind of our journey to recovery. But if anyone is on MAT, or if anyone is on harm reduction or moderation management, that may not be our pathway, but it doesn't mean that we don't have resources that we can connect you to.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I support all walks of recovery on this page. We don't judge, bash people. I got a person on here with methadone, told her story, and like she got judged, but like I'm not with all that shit. This is not a judgment zone. But thank you so much for getting on tonight, and you have a blessed night. Thank you.
You too.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Wow, that was good. It was good. So I'm going to pray out, let the spirit move, and I'm out of here. All right, Lord Almighty God, I just want you to place hands on inspirational freestyle recovery flow. And when the time is right, you will turn this into a ministry and whatever, a nonprofit, whatever's in your calling, Lord God, that you just send the blessings down upon me, Lord God, and nourish me in my relationship and open my heart up to get closer with my significant other. Allow us to come to a conclusion when the date's going to be that we get married, Lord God. And just that's what my dreams and aspirations are, is to build a foundation that's going to stand with you and unite and rise us up and go out and spread the message of hope in different states and wherever you want me to go, Lord God, and just put hands on the people that heard that message tonight for them to reach out to the sister and build a relationship with them, Lord God. And that's what it's about, loving on people. Amen. I'm out of here. Y'all have a blessed one. When in doubt, reach out. We love y'all.